Hello beauties, it's Brittany. Welcome to my channel. I really appreciate you spending some time with me. If you feel so inclined, please hit that subscribe button down below to support my channel. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and also check the description bar for a bunch of links to social stuff as well as the products I'm talking about today. And the palette that I'm talking about is the Urban Decay Backtalk palette. Now, I saw photos of this on social, and I myself haven't experimented too much with a monochromatic look, but it looks beautiful on a lot of people, so I'm definitely intrigued by it, and it is very trendy right now. Urban Decay did send me this palette, as well as some lip colors and liners and things like that I'm going to talk about today. I just want to say a thank you to you guys for subscribing, for following me, all of that jazz, because I wouldn't be where I am in my channel today if it weren't for you guys, so thank you so much for your support. So I'm going to cover the palette first. This palette is super unique. The package is just clearly very beautiful. Urban Decay is very good at packaging, and I love that it opens on both sides, but there is a piece kind of separating the products in the center. And something I was most surprised about is that this actually pops out, so you don't have to hold the palette up while you're doing your makeup. You can just hold the mirror up, and it's so light. This is genius. I think Urban Decay is so smart for coming up with something like this. It does make it a little clumsy when you're kind of like handling it because it is so new, but I think that it is a brilliant idea. They also put the hashtag on the palette, which as somebody who is into marketing, I can really appreciate this. So in total, you get 8 eyeshadows on one side of the palette, you get 2 blushes and 2 highlighters on the other side. I did create a little look using this, which I'll show you in a moment, but I did just want to kind of talk about the formula of the products. I'm going to start first with the bad and then get to the fabulous. The shadows in here, I am very underwhelmed with. If you follow my channel, you know that I just recently reviewed the Kristen Leanne collaboration, and I freaking love these eyeshadows. They are seriously amazing. Pretty much the most pigmented, buttery eyeshadows I've ever used, especially this palette right here, which is the Kaleidoscope Dream palette. So love these eyeshadows. So that's really what I was expecting from this palette, because now that they have kicked it up a notch in terms of their eyeshadow formula, I was definitely expecting that in this palette. However, I'm a little underwhelmed. This eyeshadow in 3 sheets does not show up on me. I used it to kind of set my primer today, and it literally doesn't show up. It's that light, and while I swatch it and I can see it, it looks like a pinky kind of skin tone like shade. I really cannot see it on my eyes, and I'm very fair, so that might be the case because this pretty much matches my Casper hue. Also, Backtalk and WTF, once they're on the eyelid, I can't see a huge difference. And looking at the pans, they are very different eyeshadows. One is that kind of mauve-y pink, and one is a brown. I love this kind of shadow for my crease. For fairer individuals, this shade in your crease as your best friend color is the best. I like WTF colors to kind of start to build up intensity, but once they're kind of blended, I don't see a huge difference on the eyelid with these 2 shades. Also, Bare and Curve literally look exactly the same on the eyelid. I mean, there's a slight difference in hue, but they look the same. And I'm thinking that the reason that a lot of people are noticing that with this palette is it is a monochromatic look, and that means that it all has the same hue. So I do understand it's difficult to create the same hue but different shadows, so I get that, but then maybe don't put as many shadows in here, because if 4 of them all match together to be the same, do you need all of them? Not really. But I do like the intensity I can get with 180, and I do love the names in here. But also Attitude and Shade, again, they look completely different in the pan, but once applied onto the eyelid, like I have Attitude in the inner, or on the lid, and then I have Shade on the outer portion, and there's not a huge difference in tone. So the shadows are the most underwhelming part of this palette for me, but I do truly love the blushes and the highlighters. I do feel like these 2 blushes appear different on my skin. One of them has more shine to it, the other is a little more of a satin finish. And then the highlighters are beautiful. The one I've been using is Party Foul. That's definitely my kind of style of highlighter, but this one I love that they put in it because it would probably be best for people with medium skin tones, and I think that that's fabulous that they have all of those in here. So the formula of the blushes and the highlighters are phenomenal. I'm very underwhelmed with the eyeshadows. With the eyeshadows, it does depend on what kind of eyeshadows you prefer. There are some people who don't want any kick up. They want their shadow to be a little more stiff. They want to have to, you know, kind of pat it onto the eyelid and not have any fallout. There are other people who want them to be a little more dusty or to be a little more creamy. There are many different formulations of eyeshadow, so it's all about finding which kind of style you prefer. My favorite, like I said, is from this Kaleidoscope palette. I love these eyeshadows. Seriously, they are such a beautiful formulation, so finely milled, so densely packed, go onto the lid literally like a dream, and I cannot say enough good things about those. So when I used this, if I would have gone from my Naked, you know, 2, 3, smoky, all of that to this, I would have felt exactly the same way I feel about Urban Decay shadows. I like them. They go on the lid. They are pigmented. But since using this formulation of shadow, this was like very underwhelming for me. Saying all of that, I do really love the eyeshadow look that I created today. I'm going to walk you through it hopefully pretty briefly. I took 3 sheets and just swept that all over the lid to kind of set my primer like I mentioned. I then went in with Backtalk with a fluffy brush and dusted that into the crease. I've really been liking a more like blown out eyeshadow look. My eyes are very tiny and I feel like this actually adds a little more openness to them. So I've been bringing the shadow out a little bit further. I then went in with WTF on the same brush. This is something I do pretty frequently. I don't like to dirty a bunch of brushes with one eyeshadow look, so I took WTF and began to build up the intensity. This does deepen the look, but I would like it to have more of that brown hue instead of ending up looking very pink on the eye, because while I do want a monochromatic look, I don't want it to all look like one glop of shade on my eyelid. So that's my thought on that. I then took 180 and I packed that on the outer corner. I did want a little bit of a smoky look to my look today, so I did that with a very tiny brush and then blended it out with a more fluffy brush. That's my preferred method of applying dark shades like this. I just used my finger. You can also use Fix Plus, you could use a glitter glue, you could use a brush, but with your finger and with Fix Plus you're going to get more intensity to the shadow. I took Attitude and packed that onto the lid. As you can see, I am not a pro with applying eyeshadows with my finger. I feel like it always gets everywhere. I don't know if my eyelids are just very small, my fingers are fat, maybe a little bit of both. I don't know. I took shade and I put that right on the outer part of the center of my lid, if that makes any sense, to kind of help add a gradient, but once they're on there, they do look very similar. I took Bare because I wanted the very center of my lid to be a little brighter, so I packed that right onto the center. Didn't really do a whole lot. And next I went in with an eyeliner that I'm going to talk about. I do love this eyeliner. It's called Heartless, and I love bright kind of pinky nude liners. Pop this on the waterline, stays put, very easy to apply, love the color. Also put a little bit on the tear duct area to highlight, and then I tapped a little bit of Bare in that inner corner as well. And I love this eyeshadow look. I pretty much did the same thing on the lower lash line, kind of just mirrored exactly what I did on the upper lashes. For blush, I mixed together Cheap Shot and Double Take, and I applied those to the cheeks. Obviously, I kind of like to go up a little bit higher on my blush. If you like to keep it on the apples, you do you. And then I took the gorgeous highlight shade in Party Foul, and I highlighted the heck out of my cheekbones. I did have a liquid highlighter underneath, so if you're seeing a little highlighting already, it's definitely that. The blushes do have a slight sheen to them, but not like highlighty like this, and this highlight is gorgeous. Next, I took the gorgeous lip color in Backtalk. This is one of their Comfort Matte formulas. I love this color, but I would have loved to see it in a shine finish. I am so dry on my lips. Winter has kicked my butt, and I definitely am not using matte colors on my lips, and if I do, I tend to go over with the gloss, which I did today. I went over with the NYX Butter Gloss and Angel Food Cake. Love these glosses, definitely bringing them back out in my collection. This color though is It's really, really beautiful. If you'd like to see more photos of this palette, swatches, and all of that jazz, please head on over to my blog. The list will be listed in the information bar below. The link, not the list. The link will be listed in the information bar below. So this palette does retail for $46. If you feel like these are hues that you're going to use, you love a monochromatic look, I do think that it's worth it. Keep in mind that there are overlap in the shadows. It is a monochromatic shadow palette, so just keep that in mind for your personal preference and taste. If you feel like you need more variety in your life, then this probably is not for you. It is definitely a one hue kind of look. You like how I match my nails to the palette? I totally did that on purpose. The blushes, the highlighters, you cannot go wrong. They are phenomenal. It is very nicely compact. I feel like traveling was definitely taken into account with this. It is quite thick, but I do love that feature of the mirror popping out. For travel, that's going to be so helpful. And something I do want to note about the packaging is that without the mirror in there, if you do try to close it, there is an opening spot right here, so you do not want to lose or misplace this mirror in here because you do want the palette to fully close. Urban Decay lipsticks do retail for $17. I remember when I first started in makeup, and I think MAC lipsticks are about $17, maybe $17.50 now, and I remember thinking like, oh my god, that's so much money to spend on a lipstick, and like buying my first one was like this huge deal. I don't even think I bought my first one. I think it was a gift, and it was like this whole big production for me in my life, and now I have all of this ridiculous, you know, amounts of makeup that when I see $17 for a lipstick, I'm like, yeah, I'd pay that. If you're looking for a beautiful kind of nude pink shade for your lip color and you want it to have that matte finish, it's gorgeous. It is not long wearing at all. I definitely feel like it fades very quickly. I was noticing that yesterday. I had to keep reapplying it, and it is a matte formula, so that's not my favorite. The liner, Urban Decay eyeliners do retail for $20. So if this is a shade you see yourself using every single day, I would say if it's worth it. But if you're just looking for this for like, oh, I'm gonna use it for a Halloween costume. Halloween's in October, but something like that where it would be like a one-off situation, I don't think you need to spend $20 on your liner. But if it is something that you're going to use regularly every single day, you want it to stay put, you want it to glide on, you don't want to have to pull or tug, great formula. Love Urban Decay liners, but it is $20, so you got to make your own choice there. Again, please head on over to my blog for further photos. Also, if you just want to know more about me, I've been adding to the life/lifestyle portion of my blog recently. So if you want to know how my boyfriend and I first met, if you want to know why I've been okay with being in a rut lately, head on over there because I did write some stories to let you know a little bit more about myself. And if you enjoyed this video today, support my channel by clicking that subscribe button down below, liking and commenting. I will definitely get back to you. Let me know anything you would like me to create in the future, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Bye guys!